Hello, I'm Jennie Yip, lead designer at Atlassian. I'm really humbled to be here today, but equally excited and terrified. Terrified because this is my first conference talk, but excited for Figma's first design systems conference. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to share our journey on how we're reimagining Atlassian design system from product to platform. A little bit about me. Plants make me happy. I grew up with the Peanuts comic and adore everything Snoopy. I have 2 poms named Peanuts and Butters, and I also love making kyaraben, or cute food. I'm a hybrid. I started as a web designer and have been stuck in the middle of design and development for as long as I can remember. Everyone who's worked with me either knows of me as either a designer or a developer. But in the latter half of my career, I've found my home in design systems. The biggest challenge of design systems work is helping teams think in more cross-functional, interdisciplinary ways. That's why design systems are perfect for hybrids. In 2017, I led the creation of a design system for Udacity from the ground up as a design engineer. There wasn't a lot out there about design systems, so I went to a lot of design systems meetups to meet and learn everything I could. I met a lot of systems thinkers, hybrids, and good friends. And then I came across a unique opportunity at Atlassian to start working on their amazing design system. It's been a little bit over 2 years now, and I flipped back to being a designer again. And I love working on this team and on this monster of a design system. So now let's talk some real talk about Atlassian design system. Our mission is to empower teams to create simple, intuitive, and beautiful Atlassian experiences that customers love. As a platform team, we serve a variety of customers, which include internal makers, Atlassians who use our design system to create Atlassian experiences. External makers, these are the people who extend our products through the Atlassian ecosystem. And Atlassian customers, these are the people who use and experience our Atlassian products every day. You may be familiar with some of our flagship products, such as Jira, to track your work, Trello, to organize your life, or Confluence, to collaborate on your ideas. So how do we empower teams to create Atlassian experiences that customers love? We start by crafting the best foundations. And our team aims to provide the best service and support around design, so we have specs and best practices. Code, we create a React component library and utilities. Tools, we have Figma libraries and developer tooling. And we also have documentation for guidance for designers, content designers, and engineering. So, altogether, Atlassian Design System is currently powered by a cross-disciplinary team of over 20 people across brand, content, design, and engineering. And our teams work across Australia and the US. Sometimes we are asked, how does it feel to work on such an awesome design system? As design system maintainers, we often hear these questions every day. We want dark mode. How do we say no? Why isn't this documented? Design systems responsible for consistency. Pretty overwhelming, right? So overwhelming that some of us are starting to refer to design systems as hyperobjects. So today we're going to talk about design systems as hyperobjects, the waves we've experienced through hypergrowth, and the hyperlocal shifts we've been making to create an awareness needed to reimagine and transform Atlassian design system from product to platform. Let's start with hyperobjects. So in 2008, a philosopher named Timothy Morton introduced the idea of hyperobjects. He defines them as an entity whose scale is so massive and so vast that it is beyond human comprehension. So hyperobjects are these vast and unknowable things that outscale us and can overwhelm us, like climate change, or all the plastic in the sea. Plastic is everywhere, but we can never pinpoint to all the plastic and say, there it is. Whatever bit of plastic you may be holding at any particular moment is only a small slice of a larger whole that exists in other places. In Robin Rendell's essay, Systems, Mistakes in the Sea, he actually calls a problem of a certain scale a hyperobject, and he begins to describe design systems as hyperobjects. So they're a thing that surrounds us, envelops and entangles us, but it's literally too big to see in its entirety. We can't see it, we can't touch it, but we know it exists. He goes on to say, The curse of design systems work is seeing that everything's that's broken, whilst on the surface, it all looks the same. Our design system has been growing and evolving for almost 10 years now. To put things into perspective, I've only been around at Atlassian for about 20% of the time our design language has been around. So we have a mature system in age, and it is massive and very complex. And everything is so interconnected that when we try to fix a problem, we often uncover another. And at our scale, it can feel overwhelmingly impossible to fix even the smallest things. So sometimes it feels like we're sinking, or we're barely staying afloat. This sinking feeling reminds me of one of my favorite Japanese paintings, The Great Wave off Kanagawa by Hokusai. So the ocean is energetic and imposing, and the wave is about to strike the boats as if it were an enormous monster. How do we navigate through these monstrous waves of scale and overwhelming forces? This hyper-object of a design system. Fun fact, Jira's product name is a truncation of Gojira, the Japanese name for Godzilla. So I think it's only fitting that Gojira, king of monsters, comes along as we take you on this journey to navigate through these monstrous waves of scale. So hypergrowth is a phase of rapid expansion that companies experience as they scale. Atlassian has experienced hypergrowth throughout the years, and our design system has faced many challenges because of it. So today, we're going to explore 3 hypergrowth waves in depth and the shifts we've been making to approach them. The first wave, or challenge, that we've been trying to overcome is finding our identity, setting a strong systems boundary in order to scale. In 2016, there was a big shift in our design language when we launched the 3rd version of Atlassian Design Guidelines, also known as ADG3. We paired this with the launch of Atlas Kit, our new React component library. One site was for designers, and the other was for developers. And over the years, the sites fell out of sync. So our consumers started hopping back and forth tirelessly between both sites, looking for a source of truth. In Nathan Curtis's article, Documenting Components, he says, "Be wary of design and code split. While convenient to author and publish early on, long-term risks may outweigh the benefits." This is true, unfortunately. The reason we had 2 sites was because there were 2 separate teams and disciplines maintaining each one. So we published each site to accommodate each discipline's workflow, one for designers and one for developers. And they weren't always talking to each other. Furthermore, in the article, Atlassian is actually called out as a specific example of what not to do when architecting a design system site. So, as we scale, it is really hard to combine multiple sources of truth together to be effective and accurate. We're still trying to fix a lot of the inconsistencies, but even across other sources like Confluence and Figma, it's going to take a long time to clean up. And we failed multiple times until we were successful, and we're still not done. So invest in creating a single source of truth, especially for documentation. Now, let's zoom into Atlas Kit. Atlas Kit was originally a library just for our core design system packages and components. In fact, the folder housing our packages used to be called Core. Atlas Kit actually provides a solution for developers to easily document their packages and components. So when we zoom into our monorepo, as our front-end platform scaled, more and more packages ended up in Atlas Kit, next to the core design system packages. So when we analyze this, there are actually 120 packages on Atlas Kit. However, only 60 of them belong to the design system. Since all these packages are published to the same Atlas Kit npm scope and namespace, a perception forms that design system team is responsible for all things Atlas Kit. When we reorganize the components in a different way, we actually see different layers of ownership emerge across platform and product, with design system as the foundation. So this identity crisis confuses our internal and external consumers. When Atlas Kit is associated with everything design system, consumers will always engage with our team first. This turns us into air traffic controllers as we redirect consumers from one to another and help them find the help they need. Ethan Marcotte says, a design system encompasses more than just front-end patterns or design tools. It's the way an organization works. He continues to say, we almost exclusively interact with that system that hyperobject through narrow slices of it. A product team will define a new product pattern, a developer will refactor a module, or a design system team may migrate from Sketch to Figma. So Atlas Kit has evolved from a library of product, platform, and design system packages. Atlas Kit is just a component library. At the same time, design systems in the industry have evolved past the tangible things like component libraries or design tools. So a component library is not a design system. And since design systems now include the people, process, and cultures that defines how an organization creates its products, so then Atlas Kit is not a design system. It is really difficult to shift a mental model that has been misinformed over multiple years. Naming things is hard. So now let's zoom in a little bit and take a look at everything inside the design system. Here's some of our components. Do any of them stick out to you? As we've scaled, we now own a few components that actually don't belong in our system anymore. So components in our system shouldn't be related to a business entity. Feedback collector was a component created to support another team because they didn't have any developers. Components in our system shouldn't embody Atlassian-specific concepts either, so some of our icon components will change ownership as well. File type icons will move to a platform media team, while priority icons are specific to Jira. There's also a couple of components that we're still confused about, and they're just dropped in our laps. So when we don't have a sense of accountability to certain components, we can become a bottleneck to those teams who should own them. If they ask us for a feature request, most of the time we can't prioritize that above others. So what does belong in our design system? We've been working on defining component principles to guide us to set a clear boundary. They help us rationalize what does and does not belong in a system, else we end up with more overhead and cost to maintain them. A strong boundary creates a greater sense of clarity, ownership, and thus accountability. So as you scale through hypergrowth, be careful of what you bring in and out of the system. Set clear boundaries. Put that flag in the ground. It's always easy to add things, but extremely difficult to remove or deprecate. Don't let your design system become a dumping ground. So to overcome this overwhelming identity crisis of a hyperobject, we've been making a lot of identity shifts. We explored renaming the system. We weighed the pros and cons of yet another name like Atlas Kit. But through our research, consumers still gravitated towards our original name, Atlassian Design System. We're already also externally known as Atlassian's Design System. So we partnered with our brand team to co-create a new identity for Atlassian Design System. We created a clean and minimal look by applying the foundational elements of our system. And we set off on a journey to define a clear system boundary by combining two documentation sites into one single source of truth for designers, developers, and content designers. I'm really proud to say that we launched our new home for Atlassian Design System in August 2020 of last year. Layla from Disrupt Design says, "What makes systems thinking applicable in real-world problem solving without overwhelming the practitioner is the power of defining a system's boundary. So, to find your system's identity, create a source of truth, remember that systems are more than the tangible things, and set clear systems boundaries." Moving on to our next challenge, it's time to glow up. We are becoming more opinionated as we scale and mature. So since 2002, our product suite has grown from 5 flagship products over to 18 products across server and cloud, with more new products on the way. So as you can see, Atlassian is a branded house. We're not a house of brands. Why is this challenging and sometimes overwhelming for our design system? We have to solve the common problems for all, small and large, to provide a solid foundation for our consumers to build upon. Everything in our system has to work together harmoniously to create a suite of products that feels familiar, cohesive, and part of a family. And we have to strive to make our design system empowering for everyone, regardless of discipline, skill level, or tenure. These are our new design system values. They represent the parts, people, and product of our product, and people of our design system, and they build upon each other. Our values and principles become increasingly useful as our team and product suite expands over time. Why did we create these? Let me share a little bit of our pitch. So if we go back to this overwhelming wall of questions, how can we answer them, especially across such a big team? It's really hard to make decisions when we all seem to be playing by a different set of rules. What if we all played by the same playbook? We can create a set of principles based on our values that outline the rules of play. And they can inspire and guide us to make a better system together. And it's not just for us. It can guide other teams when they contribute back into the system. So we set out to define our values and principles. At a high level, values are fundamental beliefs, and principles are guides to behavior. So they're what we hold true and how we achieve our values. And they help us establish a bunch of benefits, like a clear identity, a shared language, an aligned point of view, and they also help with onboarding and engagement. We've never defined our system's values and principles before, so we ran our first team-wide workshop. It was remote across 2 time zones, co-created by content designers, and developers all together. Co-creation is super key for us to bring alignment across our cross-disciplinary team. Imagine trying to give a consumer a straight answer when we all have different opinions. As design systems and our products mature, they become more opinionated. They're built on values and principles. Our values and principles help us stay aligned by establishing a shared understanding. So it takes some time to co-create them. We'll see how to apply them later on. If we look at our product suite from a different perspective, another wave or challenge we must navigate is balancing adoption. So we have to make the design system useful for the needs of flagship products. So these are mature products with legacy code, acquisitions that can have differing tech stacks, and we also need to provide new products with the speed and flexibility to innovate. So to balance adoption for this whole spectrum, we have to reimagine our design system strategy. What are some of the things that all of these products need that our system currently lacks? Dark mode. Just kidding. Okay, not really. We still have to work on it. So we've attempted to solve dark mode before, but we failed. Why? What is the larger underlying problem we're actually trying to solve? So when you actually listen to our users, we're beginning to see that they're not just asking for dark mode. They're asking for one of many themes. Dark mode is just one of many themes. They're asking for the power of configuration in our products to customize the UI to their preferences. So the design system needs to build theming at scale. Remember our values? Each one is paired with a principle. Our foundational principle is trusted fundamentals before comprehensive patterns. So when we apply this to dark mode, that means that we need a strong and trusted color foundation in place before we can design new patterns like dark theme. Our next principle for harmony, our harmonious principle speaks to meeting system needs before delivering features. Again, when we apply this to dark mode, this means we need to invest in a robust theming solution holistically before we deliver dark mode as a feature. So as we harden our color system, we will introduce design tokens, which will power theming and ultimately unlock configuration for our users. We can see here how sequencing is important. Interdependencies have to be arranged in the right order to function. We've tried to solve dark mode many times before having a strong color system or even design tokens in place. And we won't unlock dark mode until we work on solving the right problem, theming at scale. As we harden our visual foundations and unlock the power of design tokens, we'll also introduce primitives. These are the building blocks like layout, spacing, and typography that will enable composition and empower self-service. Since Atlassian is a branded house, we lean towards composition over customization. Products can adopt the primitives to compose tailored experiences for the products that still feel familiar, cohesive, and inherently Atlassian. Can you see how our values and principles help us identify, balance, and sequence opportunities to work on? So when we have to support multiple products at scale, we have to build what is needed in the right sequence at the right pace. If we build something that isn't needed, products won't adopt it. And if you want to build something at the right pace, and if we don't build something at the right pace, products might move on and build their own. So as design systems evolve, so do their foundations. We're investing heavily in this space right now, starting with the color system. As we acquire more products, we need to adapt and extend our color palette to be more inclusive and robust. So for example, Trello requires a magenta palette, but we don't have one. We will also need to ensure that the new color system meets accessibility standards. So like the foundations of a building, the foundations of a design system will rarely change, but sometimes you will need to revisit them. Don't be afraid to harden your foundations. Take the time to build them right, to lay a strong foundation to scale into the future. This is one of my favorite systems thinking quotes. John Gall says, "A complex system that works is invariably found to have evolved from a simple system that works. This means a complex system designed from scratch never works and cannot be made to work. So you have to start over, beginning with a simpler system." So look at our foundation and all the smaller subsystems we need to rebuild. As we grow up and mature, we need to find our purpose. We need to create values and principles to guide us. We balance needs like configuration over customization. We harden our foundations. We're becoming more opinionated. The last challenge we're going to talk about today is around platform perception, creating a new awareness to scale. Atlassian has grown from 5,000 to over 6,000 employees in the last year alone. Our design organization has grown from a small team of 6 designers to 109 designers to 380 designers today. So usually we analyze the ratio of designers to engineers, but let's look at the ratio of design system designers to the designers we provide a service to. In 2012, we only had 4 systems designers, so the ratio was only 1 to 1.5. In 2016, the ratio got a little bit better at 1 to 9, as we had 11 systems designers building ADG3. And today, the ratio has grown to almost 5 times, as we have only 9 systems designers to serve over 380. Oh, by the way, we're hiring. And the ratio for engineers is even worse, about 1 to 200. So these overwhelming ratios are challenging for our system teams. As Atlassian experiences hypergrowth, how do we scale and multiply our systems knowledge to our consumers effectively? Now we get to talk about my favorite value, empowering for everyone. We find value in bringing people on the journey before helping for the moment. So when we apply this to our services, this means we instill teaching moments through all of our engagement touchpoints. Atlassian.design, our documentation site, aims to be one of the first self-serve touchpoints. We strive to provide high-quality, effective documentation and offer a variety of resources on the site. We want our consumers to be independently and effectively be able to make confident design decisions. We also offer something called Design System Sparring. This is our critique. We offer these fortnightly as another touch point, so they can come and sign up to get feedback on their designs from a systems lens. Design system team members can also spar and share back their work. And what this means is sparring will bring consumers into our process to educate, build trust, and upskill everybody's systems thinking. So we aim to We also aim to prioritize the best service experience through our Slack help channel. So when a consumer comes to join the channel or send a message, a helper bot sends an automated message to help them onboard and self-serve. And when we respond to a question, there's an opportunity to transform it into a teaching moment. So we strive to take everybody on the journey to provide answers with the right amount of resources to support our context. Give a man a fish, and you will feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you will feed him for a lifetime. So we optimize for self-service through teaching moments, effective tools, and information. By enabling as many people as possible to use the system, we multiply our impact. Effective communication is key to any project. What's an effective design system team size? I miss the days of building a design system with only 2 design engineers. Sometimes we would have a designer join us, so there was 3 people on the teams. It was actually really fun and easy to jam on. It was easy to jam and make decisions as there were fewer lines of communication. So some think that growing a team will make the design system better and faster, but adding more people doesn't scale the output. Doubling a team from 3 to 6 actually triples the number of lines of communication. It increases our costs. So most teams in large enterprises have around 10 or 20 members. Even at the low end of the scale, at 11, a team has so many communication lines and progress is bound to be slow. Right now, our large team is actually comprised of 2 small teams of 11 people per team. So we're actually juggling about 55 lines of communication per team. Let's look into some of the invisible stuff we're juggling behind the scenes to operate and communicate effectively as we scale our design system team. We invest in creating methods and systems to multiply our mental models. So our team invests in a disciplined approach to record common processes and shared knowledge. We call these runbooks, and we add them whenever necessary. They don't have to be perfect, they just have to be helpful and accurate. And documenting this information onboards our teammates to learn by doing. They simplify training, they help retain and share knowledge. And for me personally, it also demonstrates the importance of strong information architecture. We have to organize and label content effectively so it's easy to find for our teammates. Our component documentation and examples also follow a strategy, a content strategy. These are based on user needs and business goals for our content. So for example, through usability testing, we're able to craft content strategy around writing effective examples. These guides empower our team to write consistent and effective documentation at scale. Process design is also design. Remember to document your process workflows. It's just as important to document these as it is to record your design or project decisions. They help to reduce mistakes and operational costs. We pair them with process models to help others visualize and understand the process. We pair them with process workflows to help others visualize and understand the workflow. This is why design systems teams often document and visualize their engagement, collaboration, and contribution models. I know this is a lot of extra documentation on top of the documentation we already have to create for the system, but invest in documenting ways of working so your team can operate and work efficiently at scale. These will help you scale your knowledge effectively and ensure quality and consistency as different teammates come and go and also work on different parts of the system. Let's play a quick game. Fill in the blanks, and you can decide what's true or false. Making a design system accessible guarantees an accessible experience. This is not true. We all know accessible design systems does not equate an accessible product. We should never be selling to consumers that using a design system will guarantee an accessible experience. Beyond the parts of the system provided, there's more to do. A consumer actually plays the most important role and responsibility in making their entire product experience accessible. This is great timing because Amy just posted this 2 days ago, but she says, we can't bake accessibility in and leave teams not to worry about it. All kinds of contextual decisions can be made that turns an accessible component inaccessible. And we all believe in the power of design systems to make more accessible products, but that power is limited. Design systems really just only play an important path in starting teams on the right path. Making a design system consistent guarantees a consistent experience. This isn't true either, especially for design systems at our scale. The catalyst for design systems is often the need to drive consistency between products. Design systems enable consistency through strong visual foundations and shared patterns, but they don't guarantee consistency across the entire product experience, especially one that has grown to over 18 products and acquisitions. One of our Atlassian design principles is about consistency. We want our products to match purpose and feel familiar, rather than be consistent for the sake of consistency. On the right is an example of design system being called out for consistency. Can you find the consistency across the 14 profile menus? Multi-product platforms have diverse sets of personas, use cases, and contexts. But this is not for our design system to solve. A design system provides a strong foundation and supports visual and brand consistency, not the overall product experience consistency. So don't compromise the user experience by focusing on consistency. Sean Cheris from Adobe Spectrum Design Systems team says the design system team can recommend as much as we can. It's the responsibility of each product team to make those UX consistency decisions. So this is true. We need to learn from other design systems facing the same monstrous waves of scale. Last one, making a design system high quality guarantees a high quality experience. This is also not true. What's your definition of quality? Especially since everybody has their own definition and interpretation, this is definitely not true. So these are all design system myths. You notice a common theme here? Unfortunately, these false perceptions and expectations fall on many design systems maintainers. So simply adopting a design system and using its parts does not do anything for the user experience. Kyle says, one of his biggest pet peeves is when designers and engineers blame the bad user experience on the design system. This is honestly one of my biggest pet peeves too. If the way you're implementing the system is a bad user experience, that's on you. So remember, experience is a team sport. Accessibility, consistency, and the quality of the experience is everybody's responsibility. So as we grow up and mature, we find our purpose. We create values and principles to guide us. We balance needs like configuration over customizations. Okay, let's recap. So I've shared a lot of stories about how we've been fighting this monster of scale for over the last 10 years. Are you overwhelmed yet? I know a lot of us in this industry feel super overwhelmed and burnt out sometimes by these feelings that design systems give us as hyperobjects. But don't worry, you're not alone. To be honest, I got a little bit overwhelmed too when I was crafting these examples together. So through all the hypergrowth we've experienced, I've practiced systems thinking to approach each problem from a new perspective. Here are some hyperlocal shifts you can practice with your team and the community to elevate your systems thinking. The biggest lesson I learned from building a design system from the ground up is to shift my mindset from building an application to building a library. So if you reframe this another way, it's actually elevating your design thinking to systems thinking. And we want to move from enforcing the system to empowering makers by creating more parts that make up the whole and lay a strong foundation. So we're no longer the ceiling, we're the floor. So we're shifting our mindset from product to platform. Every day, we're constantly focused on the sole problem in front of us. We zoom in and zoom in. But remember to zoom out. When you zoom out, you might notice that others are doing the same thing or something similar. You might even start to make connections. Then when you zoom back in again, you can focus again on what you're solving and make it even better. So be open to new perspectives. Seek them out. Learn something new. Break out of traditional silos. There's so many new things we can gain with a new systems perspective. So now, can you imagine the design systems around us, these massive hyper objects that outscale us? We can't see them, we can't touch them, but we know they exist. You and me are a part of it, and we should all care about it. What's a hyper object you're dealing with? So being able to see the parts and the whole simultaneously without being overwhelmed is the power of a systems thinker. Where do we go from here? How do we want to imagine the future? Imagine moving beyond features into a world of experience. How might we combine our product and platform thinking together to form an experience mindset? Getting the customer experience right is not just the role of designers, let alone the design system team. Every member of a cross-functional team has the ability and a responsibility to make an impact on our customer experience. Ocean waves are powerful and scary, but amazing. I hope you're feeling less overwhelmed now and are prepared to navigate the waves of scale expertly, like Snoopy. And remember, in design systems, we are all pioneers. Cheers. Thank you for coming along on this journey today as we reimagine Atlassian design system from product to platform. And big thanks to Figma for inviting Atlassian to share our story. And thank you to my team of legends at Atlassian, design systems friends and family, and everybody else who inspired this talk.